Hello, everyone. It's Thursday, July the 28th, and regretfully, we have lost an additional 20 people since our last briefing. We're up to 7,149 deaths in West Virginia now. Again, I ask for your prayers. I ask for your phone calls to these people if you know them. I ask absolutely, under any and all circumstance, some way, somehow, they realize they're not alone. The 7,130th death is a 92-year-old female from Kanawha County. The 7,131st death, a 92-year-old female from Berkeley County. The 7,132nd death, a 78-year-old female from Roane County. The 7,133rd death, an 89-year-old female from Boone County. The 7,134th death, a 59-year-old male from Kanawha County. The 7,135th death, an 84-year-old male from Berkeley County. The 7,136th death, an 89-year-old female from Gilmer County. The 7,137th death, a 79-year-old male from Monongalia County. The 7,138th death, a 77-year-old male from Jackson County. The 7,139th death, a 76-year-old female from Marion County. The 7,140th death, a 62-year-old female from Berkeley County. The 7,141st death, an 87-year-old male from Marshall County. The 7,142nd death, a 65-year-old female from Kanawha County. The 7,143rd death, a 62-year-old male from Kanawha County. The 7,144th death, an 85-year-old female from Boone County. The 7,145th death, an 80-year-old female from Wood County. The 7,146th death, a 90-year-old female from Brooke County. The 7,147th death, a 73-year-old male from Berkeley County. The 7,148th death, a 91-year-old female from Kanawha County. The 7,149th death in West Virginia is an 86-year-old male from Mason County. Active cases are 3,351. New positive cases in the last 24 hours, 1,197. Daily positivity rate is at 9.72. There's a boatload of new positive cases in the state of West Virginia right today that we don't even know about, because they're home testing and we don't know it. The cumulative rate is at 8.31. There's 543,715 people that have recovered from this pandemic. There is 327 people hospitalized, with 51 in the ICU units and 13 on ventilators. We do have a few green counties now. We have mostly yellow counties and 4 gold counties. That's Mercer, Nicholas, Raleigh, and Wyoming counties. We think we have a 3rd case of monkeypox. It's in Berkeley County as well. You know, Secretary Crouch can tell you more about that. And maybe, is Secretary Crouch on right? Well, we'll get to that later on. From the standpoint of our booster shots, I remind that absolutely, especially if you're over the age of 50 years of age and you're vaccinated, come on. We got to get your booster shot. That's just all there is to it. And from the standpoint of our numbers, still getting better, but slow. And that's how it's been. It's almost been like a tooth pulling to get people across the finish line. But every person we get across the finish line is a life that is possibly saved. So we're going to keep pouring it on and keep working as hard as we can. The vaccine calculator is on our website. It's up, as well as the COVID-19 vaccine info line. If you get registered under that calculator, it'll tell you when to get your shots and remind you. We have 92 outbreaks in our long-term care facilities. That's up a little bit. Still none in our church community. Inmates are 122 and 54 staff cases. That's one thing. The rental assistance program, the homeowner assistance program, is still up there, still available for landlords, it's available for renters, and it's available for homeowners. And absolutely, without any question, it is significant dollars. You know, if you've had any shortfall at all, you ought to be calling us. You ought to be calling us. As far as giving blood, I ask you to do that all the time, or at least consider. Check with your physician, and absolutely the Red Cross needs your blood. On Tuesday, I declared a state of preparedness for all 55 counties. All of us know these rains that are coming through, the mountains that we have, we've got to be super, super careful and everything. Very luckily, we have not seen any major life-threatening impacts from the round of storms that we're having. Our emergency management officials are making contact with each county this morning to establish whether there's a need to go to a state of emergency. As far as the Mainframe outage, and Josh Pence was on the other day, I want to thank him and all the vendors that have stepped up to help try to fix this issue and everything. From what we know right now, the West Virginia Office of Technology and their partners have resolved the Mainframe outage. Services will be coming back online throughout the day, and this means that further service disruptions should be minimized. So again, thank Josh, and we hate it like crazy. It's taking this long to come to fruition, but anyway, things like this happen, and we try to stay on top of it, and we try to fix it and move on. That's all I got. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Governor. Now to Dr. Clay Marsh, our coronavirus czar.
Well, good morning. And as the governor has pointed out, that we see that BA.5, which is the dominant variant of COVID-19, which is from the Omicron family, is now accounting for about 82% of all cases of COVID-19 in the U.S. and continues to grow in West Virginia. As the governor pointed out, we are seeing about 327 West Virginians hospitalized, and the admission rate over the last 24 hours with COVID-19 were 64, which is elevated. And we see that the people that were admitted to West Virginia hospitals were largely people over 50 years old. So that 50 years old to older group, which is eligible for a fourth vaccine for 2 boosters, it really does underscore the real utility, the real importance of staying up to date with vaccinations. And the governor pointed out the vaccine calculator as an important way to be able to figure out whether you are eligible. And if you are, please get vaccinated now. There is some confusion in some people about whether or not they should wait for a booster that might be available in the fall, in October or so, that may have some more protection against Omicron, the Omicron variant. But the key for almost every expert and my own perspective as well is do not wait to get your booster. We know that with Omicron, you have a 29 times reduced risk of dying if you have your booster versus if you haven't been vaccinated, and a 4 times protection against dying if you've had 4 shots versus 3 shots. And remember, in the country, only about 9% of people between 50 and 64 have had the 4th booster, and only about 23% of people who are over 65 have had the 4th shot, the 2nd booster. So ultimately, please stay up to date with your vaccines. It makes a huge difference. Lastly, there's a new paper that would project that as many as 1 out of every 13 Americans is suffering some symptoms of long COVID, which is really quite extraordinary. And we know that vaccination does reduce your risk anywhere between 10 and 50% of having long COVID. And also the White House just had a big meeting yesterday about looking at new kinds of vaccines that might be able to reduce not only the risk of death and severe disease, but also the risk of infections. And these new vaccines are really looking at nasal vaccines, vaccines that are delivered through the nose, because that's where the virus enters, and the immunity that we could get there might also be able to protect us from spreading COVID-19. So more to follow on that, but more research and more innovation being done all the time. But important message here is Omicron BA.5 has come to West Virginia and is growing, and we're seeing that equated with more hospitalizations. And we know the most important thing people can do to protect themselves is be up to date with their vaccines. And please consult the vaccine calculator. And if you're due for a vaccination, please get it. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you, Dr. Marsh. Secretary Crouch is also joining us today and is available for questions. We'll now go to questions from members of the media. The first today from Charles Young with WV News.
Hi, this is Charles Young with WV News. Dr. Marsh, I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about the difference between the vaccines we've had and the new Novavax, and which ones folks should pick. I know that this one is a protein subunit vaccine as opposed to the mRNA ones. What's the difference now that folks have another option?
Dr.
Governor, you
Marsh,
get me going? So thank you, Charles. The Novavax is a non-messenger RNA vaccine. So the messenger RNA vaccines, the mRNA vaccines, use genetic information to instruct the body to create little parts of the virus, the protein of the virus, which is made inside our bodies and then presented to our immune cells so our immune cells react to it. The Novavax is a more traditional vaccine that does not use genetic information, actually uses a protein to deliver to our bodies, as other vaccines in the past, which then can be uptaken by cells in our bodies to instruct them to make antibodies and to respond if they see that same pattern again. So the benefit of Novavax for people who are concerned about mRNA vaccines is that it is not made by the same technology. And therefore, the hope is that people that might have some hesitancy because of the vaccines from Pfizer and Moderna might uptake Novavax. We don't have real world data as much for Novavax as we do for the messenger RNA vaccines. Over 12 billion messenger RNA vaccines have been delivered around the world. So we know that they work really, really well in protecting us from severe consequences of COVID-19. And so for me, I would tend to recommend that people get vaccinated, first of all. So if you have a hesitation about one group of vaccines, then please be vaccinated with the other. But also, I think that if you had to pick and you were open to all three vaccines, I would choose a messenger RNA vaccine, a Pfizer or Moderna, because we've seen in real world situations, they are highly effective in protecting people from dying. And just like we do with every press brief, the governor reads a group of names that we know if they have been effectively vaccinated, at least a large group of those people wouldn't have died from COVID-19. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Charles. Next to Evan Bevins with Ogden Newspapers.
Thank you. I wanted to ask about, we had in yesterday's update, 0 deaths, 20 today. Is that just from the way the deaths get reported? Is there any cause for concern with such a larger number all at once, or is that just the way the state finds out and disseminates that information? Sometimes you're going to have large groupings like that. Thank you.
Evan, let me give a comment, and then I'm going to pass to Secretary Crouch on this, but it's surely part of just how it's reported. I think the smart money on the whole thing is to step back and maybe take a period of 2 or 3 weeks and put all the numbers together and then appropriate, or allocate, so many per day, and just take that and evaluate from there. But I think if you do that, you're going to come to this conclusion. First and foremost, this thing's not going away. It's not going away. And the other thing you're going to have to absolutely just give into is the fact that it is extremely contagious today. Extremely contagious. And if you absolutely are not vaccinated at all or not boosted, you surely run a significantly higher risk, whether it be 40 times or 29 times or whatever it may be, of a bad outcome. You know, either hospitalization for a good while, potential death, you know. So the net of the whole thing from my side, and remember, I'm a business guy. I'm a numbers guy. And so if you look at this whole thing from my side, it's absolutely screaming at us, this thing isn't going away. And it's also screaming at us, it's tremendously infectious. And it's also screaming at us to say, we know if you're vaccinated and you have your booster shots, your chances of really having a bad outcome are not very high, and they're off the chart if you're not vaccinated or don't have your booster shots. So anyway, I'll defer to Bill. You know, it is absolutely something that, you know, it fluctuates with how they're reported, sure. But if you'll take a snapshot of 3 weeks and just look at it, what you're going to come to the conclusion real quickly is just absolutely just simply, we still got a problem here. And that's why your governor and these experts are here talking to you. We still got a problem. And we better take heed. Secretary Crouch, please.
Thank you, Governor. Thank you, Evan. I'm not sure I can say it any better than that, Evan. The governor is right on target. The reporting system that we started back in January is now electronic. That doesn't change the fact that there still needs to be a determination of the death and a death report filled out online. So we publish those as they come in to us now, and sometimes they come in groups, but we publish those immediately when they come into us. So the governor's correct on that. If there are any issues with that, as always, we will notify the public and make sure on a press briefing that we let folks know that there's an issue. But right now, everything's working well. We just publish those death reports as they come in. And again, as the governor said, folks need to get boosted so that we can reduce these deaths. So thank you.
All right, thanks, Evan. Governor, I'll turn it back to you.
Whoa. Okay, I didn't really expect it to come right back right then, but I'll just take 1 second to thank the people that are on with me all the time. Our experts are off the chart. You know, last night at 11 o'clock last night, you know, I was on the phone because we had a medical emergency, and I felt like that Dr. Marsh could help. And between 11 o'clock and probably midnight last night, he just jumped right in and was helping us, and I can't thank him enough. And but that's the kind of folks we got here. Nobody shuts it down, and the horn or whistle doesn't blow at 4 o'clock, and us go home and just hang out. You know, people are always working, and I can't thank them enough. So God bless each and every one of them, and the same for all y'all. Thank you.